Hello everyone, I'm Chase Lee reporting for DallasMoviescreens.com and welcome back to my continuing coverage of the 2017 Dallas International Film Festival. I'm reviewing a lot for you guys, so I'm just kind of throwing them all at you and see which one sticks, which one caters to your interest. And this is my third film of the festival that I've seen, and I quite liked it. So let's review Score, a film music documentary. This one is probably the most simple of explanations in terms of all the films I'm seeing at the festival. This is literally a documentary focusing on composers that create the music that's behind some of our favorite movies, and just composers in the industry in general. Yeah, pretty simple, right? So, I quite like this movie a bit, and I think it really kind of showcases how tough and how just meticulous these composers work inside of the films that they're composing, and just how difficult it is to actually create a piece of music to really kind of fit the mood of the film. So let's get real and break this down. Now, like I've said in the past, and I'll say it again if you are new to the channel, it is really hard to review documentaries. You can't really review it on the acting because it's based on, or it shows real life people and interviews and whatnot, unless it's all reenactments. And you can't really judge on the cinematography unless the interview shots are just absolutely terrible, or the shots they choose are absolutely bad. So it's really kind of tough to review documentaries. So I'm going to do the best I can, just like I have done with previous documentaries. So, all right. With Score, a film music documentary, like I said, if you want to, let's focus on the directing and how this director kind of formed this story. Now, the movie kind of, starts out with just kind of going throughout the course of the film industry when it comes to music, in terms of showing, silent films and how they just primarily use pianos, or, going into the 60s and 70s where it was more orchestral, and then you go into the 80s and it's more kind of synths and, punk rock type of soundtracks. And then you get into the 90s where it's kind of experimental, and then you get into the 2000s where, they're kind of bringing orchestra back and really kind of fusing it with their own kind of stamps of uniqueness, depending on what composer you're talking about. So that's kind of like the layout of the documentary, and I really appreciated it. I guess one of the negatives, just slightly, and this is not, tamper with my score, just slightly, they focus on the silent film era for a good 10 minutes. I wish there was just a little bit more about the silent film era, because they just they showcase it and then they kind of move on throughout the decades, and they primarily focus on the modern music and composing and whatnot. So that's my only negative throughout the entire movie, actually. It's just a little bit more silent film, and that's just because maybe I'm selfish and I like music and I like composers and whatnot behind these films, so I just wanted to see more. I guess I'm a little selfish, but I think the film would have benefited just for a little bit, because the film's an hour and a half. You could have pushed it 5 or 10 more minutes. I would have watched it. A lot of people would have watched this, because I think what the general public will take away from this movie, if they do watch it, which I highly recommend, by the way, is to really kind of show you how important music is to a movie. A lot of people, when they go see a movie, they're not really engaged in the music. Like they're engaged in the visuals and the dialogue and the action and whatnot, or a drama if they're focusing on the human relationships at hand, but they never really focus on the music. And what this film kind of portrays is that music is like one of those invisible things that you don't really notice in a movie unless it's like very kind of apparent and really, really good, like something from a John Williams, like Star Wars or something. So this film kind of really showcases what a composer does, how difficult it is to create music, and really kind of it showcases the psychology of music and how it affects us in terms of how we feel and what kind of mood it can put us in. And I just really kind of loved everyone's kind of different perspectives on music, because it showcases. I know I'm saying showcase a lot. I apologize. It's kind of showing different kind of viewpoints from different composers, like a Hans Zimmer, Danny Elfman, John Williams, Jerry Goldsmith, even to the composer of the Minions movie. Yeah, they show everyone. But everyone's got their own unique style to really kind of bring to their movies. And they would show clips of, for instance, the composer of the Minions, he uses different instruments to create different sounds and whatnot, versus like Hans Zimmer that uses like a more like rock orchestral sound, versus like John Williams that uses full orchestral sounds and whatnot to really kind of immerse you into the experience. So everyone's got a different take on music. And even like in the movie, they pinpoint Danny Elfman, and they're like, yeah, Danny Elfman, he's kind of a weird dude. It's like he creates like these small little nuggets of music, and then he expands it into these giant pieces. Like he starts out with like a little thing and then expands it. And so a lot of people are just really in the industry are really confused by Danny Elfman and like Thomas Newman and like their style and stuff, because it's so avant-garde and just so different from everyone else, but it works so because it's their style and it works for the film that they're composing. So I really liked that aspect to just kind of show different things from different composers and how they do their music, whether it be through a computer and a piano or like they use instruments and whatnot. So that was really fascinating. The other fascinating thing about this documentary is to really kind of show you how important music is to a film. Because when you think about a movie is half and half. It's half visuals and half audio. In the audio portion, here comes this plane. You guys hearing this? In the audio portion of a film, you have dialogue, you have sound effects, and you have music. That is the three main components to sound design of a film. And music can make or break a movie. It really could. Because think about it. If you like, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I love the music. It is some of the most iconic film music of all time. You play that song, you automatically know what it is. Can you imagine if it had any other music that was just kind of like generic and bland? People would not remember it. And if you played that music, people would, I don't know what that's to. But if you play dun 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 dun, like you automatically know what that is, even if you weren't even a Star Wars fan. If you've ever seen the movie, you'd be like, oh yeah, that's that Star Wars movie, because everyone keeps humming and everyone keeps singing. So if you have iconic pieces of music like that, it can really kind of take your movie to a whole nother level. Because like I said, if you ask anyone, what's the best thing about Star Wars or Indiana Jones or Jaws even, basically everything John Williams has done, people always say it's either the acting or, Jaws, for instance, it's the shark, and then the music. People always remember the music. Or you could be just one of those composers that, accompanies the music and really kind of makes it in the moment, but doesn't really make it memorable. But in the moment, it's actually really good. Like, for instance, if I were to be like, can you hum me the soundtrack to Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which is one of the composers they featured in the movie? I wouldn't be able to tell you because I don't remember the music that well. So it really kind of just affects you in different ways and really kind of sticks with you in different ways. Because I don't know if you guys know this, but here's a little fun fact. I was in band in school from 6th grade all the way up until my freshman year in college. And I played a lot of music pieces and whatnot in concerts and whatnot. And it's really kind of moving to see music kind of form, just a bunch of different sounds coming together to really kind of affect your experience in the movie. And really just, it can affect you in different ways than other people. So that's why music is really important in these types of films. And it's really kind of important what type of music you do. Can you imagine if the Jaws theme, dun 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 dun, can you imagine if it was anything different? It would affect the entire movie, because the movie kind of the song or the overall theme makes it sound like a horror film. Can you imagine if it was more upbeat, like da 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 da? Like, it changes the entire overall view of the movie. And so that's the one thing the documentary does best, is really kind of showcase you how important music is. And they also touch upon the documentary the deadline that these musicians have to go through to meet studio demands, and be like, hey, you got like 2 weeks to write this score. It's like, what? Like, writing music is not easy, and it takes a lot of time, and it's one of the most artistic type of traits you can do in the kind of art community, is creating music. Music is a form of art, just like movies and visual medium. Music is on a whole different level, and you need time to let it breathe, and you need time to let the composer really kind of get a sense of what the scene is. Like, just for one scene, it might take months to do versus like a whole movie. So, and it also really just depends on the composer. Some of them can do it in 2 weeks. Some of them need more time. But I really love this documentary quite a bit. It's simple. It's to the point. And I really appreciate what the director was trying to go for, to really kind of put these guys on a pedestal, guys and women, on a pedestal, to really kind of show the world that what they do is majorly important to movies. Editing-wise, the movie's an hour and a half. I could have watched 5 hours of this. I really could have. I'm a huge fan of scores and soundtracks and films, and if they really stick out, I really like to seek them out on iTunes and buy them and just listen to them while I'm I was gonna say working out like a typical person would say, but I don't work out. But like if I'm like writing something or editing something, I want to play something in the background. I listen to it for inspiration, and if it's really kind of memorable, if that music is playing, I can automatically pinpoint which scene that was, what dialogue was uttered by the characters and stuff. So that's how important music is to a lot of people. And I know several people that went to school for this stuff, and one of them is actually one of my close friends who composes a lot of stuff for like smaller like indie projects and whatnot. And just to hear him kind of talk about music is just really fascinating, and that's what kind of carries over into the movie, is just hearing all these composers just talk about their work and how just much of a genius these people are. So guys, overall, I really like this film quite a bit. I wish a little bit more in the silent film era, but other than that, they really kind of pinpoint each decade appropriately, interview a lot of composers. I give the filmmakers props for getting a very different kind of group of composers, not just like the same like 2 or 3 or whatever, like the most iconic ones. You got a little bit of everyone, even the composer of the Minions. So, guys, I like this documentary quite a bit. I actually kind of love it. It's not going to go my top 10 of the year, but as far as just like a documentary that's to the point of talking about scores and film, I think it did a pretty great job. So I'm going to give Score, a film music documentary, an A. So what did you guys think of this one, or have you even heard of it? Comment in the place for my face to let me know. And as far as the standings go, this is the highest rated movie I've given in the festival so far. So I'm Chase Lee, and reporting for DallasMovieScreens.com, and come back for my continuing coverage of the 2017 Dallas International Film Festival. I will see you guys for the next one. So bye-bye.